Ruben, you're a veteran, an actor, a writer, a speaker, and an MMA fighter. Thank you, man, for taking time. I appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you for your service, man. I appreciate everything you do for this country.
Thanks for your support, man. I do appreciate the support.
Absolutely. Hey, so I was trying as much as I could online to find out about what happened with a fight that happened last month. That I think you fought last month for United Combat League against Henry Huff, right?
Yep, I was supposed to, but the fight got scrapped 2 nights beforehand.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, that's why I couldn't find anything on. Okay, what happened with that?
Yeah, so to be completely blunt about it, I was gonna have a issue making the 145 pounds that we had agreed to. That's both of our professional weight class. That being said, Henry's actually fought at 135 a few times, and we fought before as amateurs 6 years ago, and at 145 we both came in underweight. I was about 7 pounds out of 145, and I still had I was hurting pretty bad, and I still had this long drive from Minneapolis down to Chicago essentially, and I was getting real nervous about that. So we actually had came up with and agreed to a catchweight bout. Yeah. And all that was agreed to between the two camps. Their team started talking all this mess, who used to be my old team actually. They started talking all this mess about, just show up at walking weight, blah, blah, blah. What? And I'm like, walking weight, are you like, okay. Like, so, we start, I'm like, if you want this fight that bad, and so yeah, we had an agreed to catch weight. The commission was cool with it. Everything was good. And then, I go back to the gym and I did a little more work, and I was on my way, and I find out that the fight is scrapped. And suddenly, it was like some people, I'm not going to say Henry himself. I actually really like Henry. He's a good guy. Like I said, we fought before 6 years ago that I pulled out a decision win in that fight. And since then, we've always been real cool. And sorry, my dog is playing with my hand right now, my little puppy.
No problem, man.
Hopefully you don't mention that. He's a good guy, and we actually spoke on the phone that night. And hopefully me and him will run it back. I know he's always wanted to run that back with me. And now that we're both pros, it'd be nice to, obviously I was very confident in the outcome of what the fight would have been, and so was he. But, I don't think it was his decision to pull from the fight. I have no idea. I wish there wouldn't have been all that mess talked over, over social media about this, that, and the other, just to, pull out, so the fight should have happened. I still went down to Indiana. I'm originally from Indiana, so I had already taken a week away from work and everything, and I still went down, and I was 10 minutes away from the, Hammond Civic Center, and, all they had to do was, say, yeah, the fight's still on, regardless of this, that, and the other, and I would have happily showed up and thrown down like I always do. So.
Wow. Man, well, I'm sorry that didn't happen. I was looking on Tapology, and for some reason they show you that you haven't fought since 2017, but what is your actual MMA record now?
Yeah, so I come from the Indiana region where sanctions just didn't catch up with they just haven't caught up with they weren't caught up at for a long time. So unofficially my record is 22-5.
Wow.
That's
okay.
Yeah, unofficially.
Sure.
That's my pro record's accurate. It's 1-1. Amateur, I boxed, I fought kickboxing. I used to do smoker fights all the time, which are for people who are unfamiliar with those. You show up, you weigh in, 3 hours later you're fighting some dude. And I fought at weight classes. I fought at weight classes from 145 pounds to 185 pounds. And yeah, once upon a time, and a lot of people who followed my whole life or career would know I used to be like 250 pounds. So,
wow.
And there's pictures on my Instagram of that. I used to be like 250 pounds. So I remember one time I showed up and I weighed in at 185 pounds, and the guy I fought, his name was Danny Jacobs. He weighed in at like 210, I think. And my coach at the time, John Love, this was back in 2011 or 2010, one of those 2 years. He was like, dude, there's no way I want you stepping in. This guy was like 6'5", like 200 plus pounds. Just, I was like 185 pounds chubby. And that, believe it or not, I've been like cutting weight actually that day. To get down to that. And I still he was like, dude, I don't know if this is a smart fight. And it was a kickboxing fight for all that. Okay. And I was like, no, I'm stepping in there tonight. I got like 30 people coming out to watch me. It was a little place called Active Edge Fitness. They used to do fights every month, and I used to fight there all the time and pick smoker fights. And so unofficially, that's where I'm at. Yeah, I've got a lot of experience coming in the game. A lot of good people have followed me and everything. that.
Nice,
So,
man. How did
yeah.
you get into MMA, and what made you decide to actually pursue it, and as a career?
Yeah, so I've been doing martial arts since I was just a little kid.
Okay.
My dad was real big into Taekwondo and Hapkido when he was, young, and he always, brought me up watching Bruce Lee movies, and I got into martial arts real young. I started doing Wing Chun Kung Fu. That was my first discipline,
Okay.
and then eventually. I did that for several years, and a variety of different martial arts like Subakdo, which is more commonly known as Tang Sudo, and a lot of things like that until I got into when I was 15. Someone real big in the area that I'm from, you might be familiar with, is Miguel Torres.
Yeah.
He had a school in Hammond, which is about 5 minutes from where I grew up.
Okay.
And I started training there when I was 15, started doing jiu-jitsu and kickboxing and boxing. And yeah, I just kind of, in 2010, even though I was still like very obese, which, isn't good at all, just to put it out there as a public service announcement, being obese is not good. I was real overweight, and I wanted to lose a bunch of weight. And when I started losing weight, people started asking me, hey, the UFC was getting real popular. I want to say, from my professional opinion, I think the UFC started to get real popular in 2010. Okay. And like that was, you had like Shogun was like at his prime, and like, like you just had, that's when I think it was starting to get way more mainstream. And, sure. And then you had the Ultimate Fighter. It came out, in like 2000. When did the Ultimate Fighter come out? Early or mid 2000s to late, like around 2008, 2009, something like that.
Yep.
Somewhere around, or at least it started to get real popular on like Spike TV and everything.
Right.
And people were asking me, they're like, hey, would you ever like look into doing that stuff? And I was like, yeah, actually, I think I'm gonna go for that. And next thing you know, right after I graduated high school, I was competing in jiu-jitsu tournaments and everything while I was in high school. Okay. But right after I got out of high school, I started, doing kickboxing matches and MMA fights. And I fought amateur for a little over 8 years, and obviously I had to balance in like military commitments with that.
Sure.
And then I went pro in 2015 or 2016. I went pro, and and here I am today. And hopefully this year, this coming year, I had an injury last year that kept me away from, competing. Unfortunately, that's common in our sport, nasty knee injury. But this year I plan on staying active. I'm fighting this month. So I picked up. Yeah, I picked up right away. I'm in good shape, and I'm fighting. The place I'm fighting is about 10 minutes from where I live. So
perfect.
But yeah, I'm doing a kickboxing fight against a pro kickboxer from Canada. So,
okay, awesome, man. Now, being in the Army, it prepares you mentally for a lot of things, but how has that training from the Army really helped you in the MMA side of things?
Yeah, I think I actually just did the Minnesota National Guard just did a video on me being like a citizen soldier and a professional MMA fighter. I think that's pretty cool. They asked me that same question, and honestly, the Army's definitely, I think, in my life helped me a lot as far as like discipline and some of the training. But I'm really disappointed with the military when it comes to like our combatives training and everything. It's really disappointing. But what I've done in the Army as far as like being deployed and even just the overall like discipline that comes with being a soldier, there are definitely some benefits to at least being on time places. It's hard to put a perfect like correlation between being in the military and being a professional athlete or a professional fighter. At least it's hard to really put those two together like I'd like to, especially just with the direction the military goes with just being more being a good shot is more important to them than being good at punching people in the face. So
right. Now, you list on your profile that you're an actor as well. What have you done in the acting world, and what where can folks see it at? Yeah,
so I got into acting early last year. I actually something that I don't know if I'm supposed to be proud about it or not proud. I made a few military parodies a few years back, and then even when I was previously deployed, that went viral. And I mean, like, millions of people have seen it. They have no idea who I am. And then it's funny when they caught wind on some Instagram pages that found out who I was and then gave me some credit. And it's funny reading the comments about how many people are like, oh, like they're like some stolen valor parodies that I made.
Of course.
So I made a parody about that one time, and I actually my leadership wasn't fond of it once it got caught wind. But some people, I got to use that as good outreach. One of my good friends, who's real into acting, he was like, "Dude, you've got some serious talent. We need to connect when you get home." So we did, and I've made since last June, I've done 2 commercials and 2 short films. Yeah, hoping a few more in there. One of them is called Let Go, and I actually did most of me and my buddy James. I did most of the choreography for the fight scene, and we got a pretty sweet fight scene. Second short that I did was a comedy called About That, and I had a really, really short little cameo at the end where I literally have two lines, and I had a voiceover too for a phone call. I just signed a talent release contract with Bone Productions here out of Minneapolis, so not long ago. So hopefully they'll start to give me some more acts and stuff together. And
cool.
And as far as like the speaking and writing goes, I've been writing a book that I'm going to put out next year that I'll finally get published. I've been writing a book for quite some time now. I took some time to just kind of be away from it, but it's called Wake Up Push Up. It's a motivational story about, kind of how I got my life together from being a 250-pound slouch to a, professional athlete, and just kind of how, growing up, I grew up in Northwest Indiana, kind of how like growing up in, in places and, feeling adversity and still kind of just overcoming and, just chasing your dreams. So
awesome, dude. I got 2 more questions for you. I always ask this question because I'm a music guy, but what's your favorite type of music or favorite band that you listen to?
Oh man, you know what? My favorite kind of music would probably lean more towards like hip hop. Okay. Honestly, anything I don't listen to a ton of music these days. Okay. I listen to a lot of I'm weird. I listen to a lot of like podcasts and everything kind of all the time. I lean more towards like hip hop just because I listen to music mostly when I'm training.
Yeah. Gotcha.
And that gets me going. But I'm a big fan of Finger 11.
Nice.
Those guys, yeah, will always be one of my favorite songs out there. And I even going back to 2010, a little nostalgic for myself, going back and thinking about when I used to listen to the entire Dear Jane, Breaking Benjamin soundtrack. That was always a good one too. So
yeah, absolutely. When you're not training, what's your favorite dessert? I have a sweet tooth, so I'm always curious what fighters are eating when they would need that sweet tooth fixing.
Oh man, that's I got asked this question in an interview one time. I don't know if it was sweets though, but anytime, I'm definitely a foodie. I love to eat. And I cook a lot actually, but I really love it. I love to eat. I would say, my favorite dessert. You know what? I don't think you can ever go wrong with the banana split from Dairy. when I just think of overall dessert, but if I'm thinking pie specifically, anybody who ever wants to Venmo me or send me via to my house a lemon meringue pie, that would be phenomenal. I love lemon, except right now because I have to make weight in 3 weeks. So
right, absolutely. Well, I also wanted to give you an opportunity, Ruben, to just give a shout out to anybody, coaches, camps, sponsors, anything like that. The camera's all yours, man.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you. First of all, I want to thank you for having me on the show. It's
of course.
I appreciate the opportunity and the love and support. And also, shout out to my sponsor, my longtime sponsors, Bad Boy MMA. People in the show right now, I've been sponsored by them since I was 18. Wow. And I'm 27 now, so a long time they've been supporting me. Drink Simple, I got sponsored actually all over the back wall. Drink Simple, my gym, sponsored Spartan Martial Arts in Oakdale, Minnesota. If you don't train there, where you train doesn't matter. And then also to Doc Howie Fiddler for keeping me sharp all the time. He's my sports chiropractor and sports doctor, so thanks for keeping me, feeling good all the time. And to Inkful Thoughts Tattoos for doing all the sick work I have. And I appreciate all the love and support from all those guys. So
sweet, man. Well, Ruben, it's an honor to talk today, man. I'm excited to see you back in the cage and continuing on that win streak there. And thank you so much, man, for your service again. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's my pleasure, man. Thanks for your support.
Guys, thank you so much for hanging around. Really appreciate it. If you'd like to see more videos from Top Rated MMA and the Bearded Biz Show, please click the playlist and also hit subscribe to our channel. Become part of the Top Rated MMA and Bearded Biz community. We would really appreciate your support. Also, please leave a comment below. I will read and respond to all of them. Thank you so much. Have an awesome day.